Hey guys, this is Merlini from MerliniDota. I'm here to bring you my thoughts on patch 6.79, soon to hit Dota 2. And I'm going to make this pretty brief, around 10 to 15 minutes long. There's a couple hour long videos from other streamers out there if you are interested, but I'm just here to give you the down, the dirty, and the important. So, link to patch notes, first and foremost, dev.dota2.com, and here's the thread link if you want to follow that yourself. I actually found it on Reddit. You can probably find it on there. It was announced a few days ago and expected release. It's already out on Dota 2 test servers, so it's going to hit pretty soon. My prediction is October 21st through 24th. First Blood patch hit on Monday of September, I believe, and generally patches hit on Thursday, so somewhere in between that time frame. So the overall theme of this patch, as well as 6.78 and many previous patches before, are to promote diversity, encourage hero-on-hero action instead of boring neutral action, and dissuade heavy reliance on neutrals, including Roshan. So this one, promote diversity and hero-on-hero action is something that we see on most of the patches, but dissuading heavy reliance on neutrals is something that is really particular with this patch, and it has heavy emphasis on that. So just going ahead and going to the patch notes. We see buyback change. I wasn't completely happy with the buyback system before. People asked me what I didn't like most about Dota, or what are the things I disliked the most rather. And I said Huskar and Bloodseeker were just ass. And this was like posed to me like 5 or 6 months ago before Huskar got reworked. And I also wasn't completely happy with the buyback system. So I think this is the right step in making it less imbalanced. People would just always save their money for buyback before, which is kind of not that great because people just weren't creative. People would just play way too passively because they wouldn't have a buyback. And now that people may actually have to get defensive items and make good decisions in the late game, besides, hey, well, if I die, I have a buyback, whatever, then it should spice up competitive Dota a little bit more. So there's also a shift away from the 113 triple lane. I know IX Mike doesn't like when I call it triple lane, but I will call it whatever I damn please. So triple lanes, a little bit less emphasis on those. We may see a bring back of 212. Creeps now meet a little bit closer to the off lane. Range heroes now get the same denied experience as melee heroes, so we may see like the return of Windrunner, and XP AoE increase, so it's a little bit harder to zone out heroes. And on top of that, we see all these neutral camp changes. The biggest one is probably non-ancient neutrals now split XP with all heroes in the AoE instead of just the team that killed them. So this makes it much easier for people to just leech off pool camps, and it should discourage safe lane triple laning as much, and it also will just promote a lot more action in the early game instead of supports just forced to neutral in the early game because that's the best option. And if they smoke gank and it fails, you're just so far behind, and if the other team's pulling, that is. And now you're actually forced to do something instead of just PvE, which is cool. So there's some like changes to the camps, less experience, some camps swapped around. Those are all like fairly minor, I think, compared to some of the other changes. Day and night decrease from 6 to 4 minutes. I actually think this is a pretty big change. My initial gut reaction is that it's bad, just because I'm unfamiliar with it. At least that's what I suspect. I think it should promote more action. I have no idea how that's going to affect the game though. Heroes, night vision. This just makes the learning curve easier for heroes. Also, slightly nerfs Meepo and whatnot. But who picks Meepo anyways? Roshan will respawn a random time between 8 and 11 minutes after death. So no longer will we see the 10-minute exact to the second Roshan respawning. So this should actually encourage teams to play more actively, or so I hope. It's wishful thinking, but before teams would just play super passive 1 to 2 minutes before Roshan spawns. Because if you die, it's like almost guaranteed buyback, or your team loses Roshan, which are both really bad options. And teams would just like turtle in their base. Okay, Roshan's about to respawn. Let's go smoke gank and make something happen. And now teams like have to have more control of the map. They have to be more flexible and just they're forced to gain map control and other things besides forcing the issue at Roshan. So we hopefully we'll see more fights happen when Roshan is down. Also, I think it gives a little bit less emphasis on Dire side now because Roshan's a little bit more difficult to control. So gold change a little bit. Supports get a little bit more. I mean, everyone gets a little bit more, but gold income for supports is really what they rely on. You also get rewards for killing gold for killing observer rewards, which is kind of cool. Some rack changes, not a big deal. Can no longer orb attack while attack restricted. I think with Huskar being implemented in captain's mode, he was just completely imbalanced with Ghost Scepter and Armlet. That hero was just like impossible to kill. So with this, I think he's still imbalanced, but not as imbalanced as before. It also indirectly nerfs like OD somewhat, and nerfs Silencer. Poor Silencer. I like the hero so much. In terms of heroes, I'm just going to go through the important ones. Like, a lot of them are just like slight minor nerfs. Abaddon I didn't actually think needed a nerf. I think he's not that great of a hero as is, but he will receive some nerfs. Alchemist, it's like a slight nerf in the sense that if you can't kill him, you can kill him faster in the first couple of seconds, but with having like a huge HP regen now, it makes it more difficult for heroes like Lifestealer, I think, because max HP is less in general, and like level 1 is just huge. 15 to 50 is like over 300% of what the value is, and 100 to 60 or 60 to 100 at level 3 is not that big of a change. So we're seeing the biggest differences at early levels. So Alchemist will still be a pretty good pick. Ancient Apparition, let's see, he's just buffed a little bit. Axe actually received pretty significant changes. It's less focused on Battle Hunger, much more focused on Counter Helix as well as Coiling Blade. Coiling Blade got huge reworks. I think that we will see this hero quite a bit now in the competitive scene. I thought he was pretty good before. Batrider nerfed, screw that hero. He won't be top tier pick anymore. He kind of has already fallen off. Bloodseeker, he's been changed. You can move like super fast with Thirst. It has global range, and you no longer have maximum movement speed. You're no longer capped to 522 move speed. But all in all, I still think that Bloodseeker is still a weak hero. He lacks AoE. He kind of needs BKB. Bloodbath is like somewhat unreliable, and he is crap at team fights. So I think all these things, these changes are nice, but I don't think it's enough to push him into the realm of competitive solo mid. Broodmaster, Bristle, buffed a little bit. Broodmother, her webs got changed. They don't actually kill trees anymore, but you can move up and down cliffs as well as trees. She's a melee hero, though. She needs some sort of vision. She doesn't get flying vision in the web anymore, and she doesn't just get plain vision. So I think it's like kind of cool, but it's going to be pretty difficult to attack heroes in trees if you can't see them at all. So we'll probably see her more as a viable offlane now. Chaos Knight nerf. Nerf. Darkseer nerf. Dazzle, Poison Touch is a little bit better now at early levels, but not a significant change. Disruptor, his Ags upgrade, actually silences items now, which is a big deal. BKB has gotten nerfed like over and over in the past few patches, and this is just another one, along with the 1300 to 1375 recipe cost in 6.79. Unfortunately, Disruptor will almost never get Ags or be able to afford it, but the glimpse changes and other stuff are still kind of cool. Doom keeps getting buffed too. I expect to see this hero more and more. Tongfu used to experiment with him a lot, and teams are like picking him here and there. I think he's really good for heroes like Pak, Quap, Storm Spirit, like kind of forces him to get BKB and just takes him out of the fight. Invoker too. I think he's a really good pick. Churro, I think she's weak. These changes don't make her good. Earthshaker, kind of cool change, but still very minor. Elder Titan, I think Natural Order needed a nerf. Instead, Ancestral Spirit damage got nerfed a little bit. It'll like hurt his lane control a little bit in a minute, but all in all, I still think that the hero is too strong, especially Natural Order. Nigma gets some cool changes. Huskar nerfed. Let's see, EO, this is actually a pretty significant nerf. You don't actually stun people now with Tether. You get a 100% movement speed and attack speed slow, but still you can use your Ghost Scepter, you can pop your BKB, you can TP out, you can do a lot of things when your just attack speed and movement speed is at 0% instead of being stunned. Jakiro, these are all small changes. Lich actually gets a pretty significant change. Dark Ritual, also known as Sacrifice, actually gives you XP now for when you kill the creep. The cooldown has been nerfed slightly, but that's a huge change. I think that Lich is going to move in the realm of actually support heroes being picked now and then. Rage, nerfed, screw Lifestealer, too powerful. I still think he'll be picked fairly often. Lion, Hex scaling changed a little bit. Its cooldown is longer at level 1, but the duration is much increased, so I think overall it's a buff to the hero. I think he needs it. Small changes here and there. Meepo, we see Divided We Stand leveling 6, 11, 16 to 4, 11, 18. So level 4, you can have 2 Meepos. I don't think it's enough to bump them into competitive, but it's still pretty cool, and hopefully will encourage Meepo players out there to try him out a little bit. Nagasara nerf, much needed. That hero is just way too popular and good. It's not just that she's popular. OD nerfed. I think he needed it too. His stats and move speed are just like simply incredible. Really high base damage, really high armor, really high move speed. A hero shouldn't have all 3 of those and have as powerful as a skill set as he. Pudge and VS can now use Blink Dagger, but if you hook them or swap them in an unpathable terrain, they gain free pathing for 5 seconds. So that's not. I played Han for a little bit, and you could use Blink Dagger on Pudge and stuff there, and it made him stronger. But we don't see Pudge and Venge enough as is. Queen of Pain actually got nerfed. I'm surprised that she got nerfed, but it will nerf for levels like 1 through like 4 laning control in the early game, which is really where she shines. So I'm surprised that this hit the patch, but whatever. We'll probably see more solo mids. Skeleton King now a 1 spell wonder again. Mortal Strike active, now removed. Skywrath Mage upgrade is cool, but his level 3 ultimate costs 6 or 800 mana, I believe. So it doesn't matter if it's 20, 0, or 1 minute cooldown. You're still usually only going to be able to cast it once a fight. Let's see, Spirit Breaker. This is actually a pretty big nerf. Nether Strike now uses 1.2 cast time instead of a 1 second magic immune delay. Previously, like Spirit Breaker with a life steal inside them, they could just kill like any hero you charge. The bash goes through BKB, the Nether Strike goes through BKB, and they would just like zerg you down. Like Spirit Breaker was magic immune during the charge as well, or sorry, during the Nether Strike, and they would just like own you. You get charge, you get bash, you get Nether Strike. All of them, meanwhile, you have a rage life stealer just beating on you, and that was just insane. So Spirit Breaker nerfed. I don't think it was that big of a problem in high tier competitive play, but still makes the hero much less annoying in pubs too. Timbersaw nerfed slightly. Still think he'll be a top tier pick. Treant actually got nerfed pretty significantly. I think his hero will kind of fall off along with Abaddon. Venomancer gets some cool buffs, but still very situational and rare support. Viper got buffed, surprisingly. I thought that he was going to get nerfed along with Razor, but I guess I struggle like seeing those two around. In terms of items, Bottle got nerfed from 600 to 650 gold, which is a pretty big change. You can't bottle rush or pull bottle anymore. And speaking of pulling, you can't really pull anything anymore. You can like use it on your allies, but in terms of your solo mid being pulled and starting with the Null or Wraithband, 2 branches, and Tango South, those days are gone. You're going to have to just buy regen yourself, which makes the mid matchup a lot easier. Also, you can't upgrade Flying Courier until 3 minutes. That's a pretty significant change, and the Ground Courier has been buffed a little bit as a result, so it doesn't get one shot. Other items, Necro Book got buffed in 3 ways. Hand of Minus no longer works on it, HOD no longer works on the units, and the duration for the summon creeps gets increased. So Necronomicon actually used to be imbalanced to the point where tournaments had to nerf it or ban it. You could only get 2 on your team, so I think that Necronomicon is a really good item, but it's silly that a sub 2,000 gold item can just completely counter the vision from the true sight. So I think that's a really good change, and we'll start seeing a lot more Necro books, maybe some more push strats too. That's cool. Lincoln Sphere you can cast on an ally hero now. This is all in an effort to get people away from BKB, just because BKB is just like ubiquitous. You see it on every carry hero besides Lifestealer because he already has a built-in one, but now you can cast on your heroes. And BKB costs more now. I think Lincoln Sphere is a viable alternative in some situations to BKB. So carriers actually have to think about what items they get now, which is such a concept. Set reward, you get 50 gold bounty, which is cool. 8 toast, 16 to 12 second cooldown. That's actually pretty significant, so you can have like 33% uptime on Cripple, but I don't think it's good enough to see competitive play. People will just get like mech arcanes, I guess, with 3,100 gold. If you already have your brown boots, and that's just much more useful in most cases. Shadowblade cooldown increased from 18 to 28, more of an impact in pub play and Nature Prophet in competitive, but Shadowblade still not that popular item in top tier competitive play. Trickle Boost got reworked. It's more for support heroes now, because if you attack or if you've been attacked in the last 13 seconds, not when you cast spells though, then it gets nerfed, but overall very, very good for support heroes now. Veil of Discord takes a Null Talisman instead of Robe of the Magi, so we may see this item like see the light of day sometimes. So in terms of the big changes, big and impactful changes is my name for this slide. Roshan timer has been changed. Neutraling is far less effective than before, with XP being split, the creep camps getting changed around a little bit, middle and small camp have changed, and just a lot of less XP and gold overall. Axe, Broodmother, and Lich, if you had to ask me, what 3 heroes do you think will see a lot of changes now after they got buffed, or a lot of play now? I would say these 3. And Huskar, Spirit Breaker, and Treant have all been nerfed, so I think that those heroes will see less play if I had to pick 3. Obviously, there's a lot more changes, a lot more heroes that got buffed and nerfed, but I think these 6 are the most significant, at least in competitive play. Lincoln Sphere and Necronomicon got buffed. Those are really big for items. BKB got nerfed, Shadowblade got nerfed, and there is no more pooling. So those are the big changes that I think will actually affect the game, at least immediately. It's very, very difficult to tell how these things will pan out in a few weeks or months from now, but these are just what I come up with off the top of my head. But as with always, take it with a grain of salt. I thought Silencer was going to be a top tier pick, and he is not. But for the most part, very good patch. I'm happy with the changes. I applaud IceFrog for his efforts in always trying to make the pool of competitive heroes equal to the pool of actual heroes, which is a very, very difficult task, and I think he's been doing a very good job of it. So we'll see if any of these changes get reverted or even expanded upon. But we'll be having to deal with this patch for probably 2 or 3 months. So get used to the changes, and I think it's a good patch though. I'm happy with 6.78. I'm happy with 6.79, and maybe one day I'll be completely happy with my heroes that are just I think considered very weak, like Death Prophet and Puck. I think is actually Puck's strong. Silencer and Zeus. I think I would love to see those 3 heroes buffed, but one can dream. One can dream. Thanks, guys, for tuning into this video. If you like my videos, you can subscribe to me at youtube.com/MerliniDota. Also, I stream almost every day at twitch.tv/MerliniDota when I'm not casting at an event or online or otherwise. And also, you can stay tuned to my Facebook and Twitter at /MerliniDota for updates. Thanks, guys, for watching. See you next time.